Amanda from Pontes Books here with the chapter 22 vocabulary focus for the Prince and the Pauper. Today's word is one that's very commonly used in books and just normal, I guess, everyday conversation. So it's a good one to know. And it is the word solemn. So you can see if you're watching the video, the picture for this one is a funeral, and that I feel like is a pretty good way to kind of sum up this word, but there's kind of other expanses of the word as well. It doesn't always have to do with like something sad. So we'll go through that today. So the definition would be, well, first of all, it's an adjective and it means kind of formal, dignified, or serious. Often it is related to religious ceremonies and traditions. And you see in The Prince and the Pauper, a lot of times they're using, talking about solemnities, kind of like more serious traditions that have to do with like the royals. So you see that come up a lot because obviously with royal life, there are a lot of specific ceremonies and traditions that they follow. So we see that come up a lot, but a lot of times this term is related to kind of more religious specifically, which at the time there was a lot of crossover between religion and, you know, royals. So that would make sense. So some examples of solemn events or things could be a formal ceremony, you know, where things are a little more serious and there's certain kind of etiquette rules that you're following. Funerals, as the example I kind of already gave, formal oaths and promises. You know, if you are swearing, you're giving your word to somebody else, that's a solemn promise that you're giving. Some non-examples could be parties, jokes or pranks, or comedies. Those are things that are not meant to be formal or serious. Those are things that are meant to be more laid back and fun. In terms of the etymology of solemn, we can trace it back to Latin, to specifically the word solemnis, kind of regularly appointed or solemn. And if you look at this visual, you know, kind of line, family tree type image, the origin comes originally from the Latin word kind of solus, entire, and then that changed to solemnis, customary, celebrated at a fixed date. And that's where we can specifically trace the word solemnis back to, and then to Old French. And then Middle English, Modern English, kind of that word solemn in its form that we know today. And as you can see, it was associated with religious rites when it kind of continued its meaning, and nowadays can mean that or other things. Just some sentence examples and other forms. Our straightforward sentence, we have the overall mood at the funeral was solemn and the attendees rarely joked or laughed. Sentence from the chapter. So I actually took kind of the middle of a sentence. This was a kind of long one. So he was crowned king of the Gamecocks, his meaner title being at the same time solemnly canceled and annulled, on page 137 to 138. So this is at a part in the story where Edward is kind of gaining popularity among John Canty's gang. And so originally this title, his meaner title, is referring to when he was King Fufu the First. That was his original nickname, and he kind of was mocked and made fun of. And then he, you know, wins a fight and starts gaining favor with the gang. And so then they crown him king of the Gamecocks, which is like fighting roosters, I guess would be the best way to kind of translate that, because he won this fight. And they kind of like lift him up and honor him and are basically declare like formally like no one shall call him this old nickname Fufu the First anymore. So then other forms of the word could be solemnities. So a noun form of things that are solemn, like solemn activities, events, and then solemnly could be an adverb, the way in which you're acting. You are acting in a solemn way. So that's a little bit about the word solemn. Hopefully you learned something. Have a good rest of your day.